If you have a mindset of like, when is this gonna get easier versus like, I'm just gonna focus on executing today, adjust, execute, adjust, execute, reflect, forever. That is life every day, forever, and ever until you die.
How can people focus on doing when their big ideas seem unattainable?
I think the reason they seem unattainable is when you look at like a really big topic, you look at big anything, it's really tough to work it forward on how you're gonna get there. To make things easy is to work it backward. I wanna be a millionaire when I'm 45 or some shit, I don't know. Okay, great. What would I then need to do working backward? I think if people could just start to re-engineer the way they think, to not see a dream and try to work toward it, but as opposed to see a dream and like reverse engineer it, it becomes so much more tangible. You know, when I do my own goal setting, like that's how I think about it.
Is there like a limit in which people should stop themselves and be like, no, that's too big of an idea?
I think as you work it backward, it starts to either unravel or come together. That's it. Like, I'm 28 and I want to have $100,000 in the bank when I'm 30. Say that, cash. Okay, 100,000. I've got 24 months to get there. 24 divided by 100,000. Okay, so that's 4,200 a month. What are my bills? And how much do I make? Oh, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, not doable. Okay, what I actually can do is 2,200. And actually, I think in a year and a half, I'm gonna get a promotion. So then in a year and a half, that gap's gonna be 1,200, right? So are there things that I can do between now and the next year and a half to close a 2,200 a month gap, right? So that means I gotta go find $25,000. Could I go get a side job? Could I go do this? Could I do that? And then that next 6 months, I've only gotta go do this. Can I go find 15,000? You know what I mean? So I don't really think there's any goal that's too big.
Okay.
You'll just start to see it unravel.
Okay.
Like, you know, as you kind of continue to take it backward.
Why is doing so difficult while dreaming is so easy?
I mean, effort, I guess, like complacency, that it's real easy to sit and think of ideas.
Is it though? I think that's my biggest issue. I really have to work to get that dream energy flowing.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good point. I'm more like you, Caleb. I'm more like you. I think you have like a default, kind of maybe one way or the other, and then you kind of you start to realize it. Like you and I've had these conversations before. We talk about like it takes nothing to have ideas. Like how is this thing actually going to be executed, right? And I think over time I'm becoming more and more appreciative of that process. But I think you have to have a little bit of both. You know, so if you're an idea person, you have to at least have to understand how to, you know, do like a basic reverse engineer, kind of like what I did, and call out some of those points. I think if you really want to be like all time. Yeah. If you're just the person with a bunch of crazy ideas who's unfocused, you better be Picasso. But then again, but what people don't realize, do you know how many paintings Picasso painted?
I remember hearing some story about Picasso, like a woman approached him and asked for a drawing from him, and he like whittled something on a napkin at the table, and then he said, okay, this is the price for it. And she was like, what, you just did that in like 2 minutes? He was like, no, this took me 60 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You better shut that shit down. See, that's it. See, I think that's what people don't get about great creatives. They're actually super doers. Yeah. They're super doers. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what people don't see. Like, they're devoted to that one deep thing. Like I did that post not too long ago about if you're under the age of 30, like go deep on what, like learn one skill like super deep, so then you have that muscle. Nobody can ever, like once you know how to develop a very myopic and get to world, like your top 5% of all people, all humans. Like right now, 2% of all people in sales. Enterprise, mid-market, SMB, I've done all of it for tens of thousands of hours. I've seen every fucking play imaginable. Like, and then from that, I can branch into now other things. And that discipline, that ability, like when I would get in at 7 a.m. and start cold calling, like the behaviors that you learn whenever you learn a craft deeply over years and years and years and years, not like 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, that is a muscle that you might even end up applying later down the road. Yeah. If you also have an idea and it's like, well, it's this and this and this, and you're that person who has a bunch of ideas, can never articulate it to where it's easy for like you to consume, then it's also not a great idea, because if no one can help you with it. So if you don't know how to like articulate it that way and have a plan, I just don't know. I don't think you can be like an all-time dreamer without being an all-time doer.
What do you think is one of the most critical pieces that holds people back from doing?
I think it's what we talked about in the very beginning. They don't know where to start. Or they don't know where to start, or they don't have the mental fortitude to sit down and focus long enough to figure out where to start. I think a lot of people, they give up before they ever take the first leap. They give up because they get down on themselves. They're not winning. And again, because they were expecting to win, as I think people who are all-time doers and executors know that they're not gonna win. I just think most people get to hard, stop. Like, I'll give you a good example. So I've been doing this book's called the 5 a.m. Club. So I'm on day 4, getting up at 5 a.m. every single morning. I got in last night at I got to my house about 1:30 and went to bed at 2. I had a very tough choice this morning, right? I slept for like a couple hours on the plane. I'm on day 4. I gotta get to day 66. Okay, do you really want this to be a habit? Is this really a thing? Is this something you're trying to like change your life by? It's like, okay, cool, up by 5. And it was great, I feel great. Yeah. 20 minutes of working out, 20 minutes of reflection, 20 minutes of learning. Yeah. Every morning, 5 a.m. Yeah. They give themselves an out. I got to this wall out, 24/7. What are your thoughts on it? Like, what do you think when you hear that stuff?
The cross between I don't know where to start and also I don't even know if I'm gonna end where I want to be. And not that you should focus only on the destination, but of course that's what gets people into whatever they're focusing on. And I don't know, I think that there's just a lot of noise right now going on, and so it's like, it's hard to not be like, well, what is gonna make this any different than the other 10 people who have this same idea?
So interesting. I think once you accept that there is no end,
yeah, exactly.
A lot of this just goes away.
Exactly.
If you have a mindset of like, when is this gonna get easier, versus like, I'm just gonna focus on executing today, adjust, execute, adjust, execute, reflect, forever. That is life every day, forever, and ever until you die. Yeah. Forever.
Yeah.
Failure, disappointment, success. Failure, disappointment, success. Failure, disappointment, success. Failure, disappointment, success. Retread. 2 steps back for 6 months. 5 steps forward in 3. Like, you just have to have some version of faith. Yeah. And belief. And I think that that's it. Like, we don't want to get hurt, so we don't trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's easier to just say, well, yeah, I didn't finish, but I didn't believe it. I didn't finish, but I didn't want to do it. Yeah. That's an easier path to choose than like, okay, I'm gonna just give this 100% and just let the fucking chips fall. And I'm not gonna beat myself up about it. I'm gonna understand it's a process and trust that like I'm a talented enough person that like things will hopefully work out.